How much do you think it costs for two people to spend 1 month living in Southeast Asia? Give me a number, throw it out there. Think about how much you might spend on a vacation for a week or two. Does that number feel big in your head? You might be surprised how much it costs for us, myself and my husband, to spend 1 month traveling around Southeast Asia. We visited 3 countries, and in this video, I'm going to give you the exact overview of what we did, where we went, how much things cost, and what we spent overall. As a quick introduction, I'm Natalie Murray. This is my channel, Murray Out of Office, where I document what it's like to take a career break midlife. One of my big dreams during this time off was to be able to enjoy some extended travel. But as we were planning for this, it feels a little overwhelming to know exactly what something like this is going to cost. So every month as we travel, I give you all the full cost breakdown so that I can be transparent and potentially inspire you to take your own trip if that's something you want to do. So whether you're looking to take a career break or maybe just enjoy some long-term travel, let's share exactly what it cost us this month. I don't like to bury the lead, so right off the bat, I'm going to tell you for 2 people in US dollars, we spent $3,000. And that dollar amount doesn't just include what we spent on travel and in our different locations. That also includes a lot of general costs, general expenses that we have to pay since we are out of our home country of the US right now. So let's dive in. This month, I'm going to take us on a little journey down memory lane. I'm going to go through my camera roll, and in 10 minutes or less, I'm going to take you through exactly where we went, where we stayed, what we did, what we ate, how much these things cost, give you a few snapshots as we go along, and then at the end of the video, I'll give you the total cost breakdown for all of our categories spent. Now, we started our month in Cambodia, and if you've been following along on our channel, then you know we have a lot of different videos from Cambodia. So at the beginning of the month, we found ourselves still in Kampot. Kampot is in the south of Cambodia. We strategically positioned ourselves there as our next step is to cross over into Vietnam. Kampot ended up being our favorite place in all of Cambodia. And if you want to learn more about that and what our experience was, feel free to check out our video on exactly why we love Kampot. But kicking it off, we first stayed in the Seagull Guest House. Now, we had been staying across the street at the end of the month, but we found that the hotel costs were getting to be a bit more expensive the longer we stayed. So we decided to jump over to a guest house that cost us just over $20 a night. It was a simple room. It was a large room, clean, well-positioned, close to town. It included a basic but nice breakfast. A lot of what we like to do is just explore, walk around. Kampot has a very vibrant riverfront, and so whether you're there during the day, walking along the beach, walking along the promenade there, you can walk for miles, or if you find yourself down there at night, it is definitely a hub of activity. So we often found ourselves not spending anything, but just enjoying life in Kampot along the river. However, we did rent a motorcycle or a motorbike for the rest of the duration that we were there. This allowed us to get around a lot easier, super affordable option. And so with the motorbike, we were able to get out and explore not only the general Kampot area, but the surrounding areas. One of my favorite tours that we did was going to see Bow Tree Pepper Farm. We learned all about how they grow, how they're processed, how just from one peppercorn plant, you can get so many different types of pepper. It really puts it into perspective. Now, it is, tip-based, so it's up to you as to what you would want to leave for a tip. And then we did also buy some things, just some small things from their local farm shop. But that is definitely something that I would recommend. Another activity that we did that cost us no money whatsoever is to visit Kep. Kep is beautiful. It's very chill. It's known for being a very chill location, and we enjoyed a whole afternoon there. We didn't have to spend a dime. Since we didn't have access to a kitchen during our stay, we were eating out all of our meals, and we found Cambodia and Kampot in particular to be very affordable, delicious meals. I don't know if it's the proximity of the salt fields and the pepper fields, but there's really good flavors there that we did not find anywhere else in Cambodia. But while we were in Kampot, and as our time was extending, we also wanted to go further upriver. So we went to stay at Villa Vidici for 2 nights. And I do recommend it as an experience. It was absolutely beautiful. We decided mostly to stay put while we were up there to enjoy some of the amenities of the resorts. That's definitely something that if you're in the area, I would recommend doing as well. Before we left the Kampot area, we were still up in the air as to whether my visa would come through before we had to leave Cambodia. So we stayed at the Sunny Hotel in Kampot again. So we were very close to the night market, but you could still see the river in the distance. And I have to say, this was probably one of the best values of any place that we have stayed. So before we jumped the border over to Vietnam, they helped us arrange our transport. We got our laundry done. I went and picked up a book from the local English bookshop. It's not just English books. They have all sorts of languages there, but I always try to get a book whenever I can. And the next day we made our way into Vietnam. Finally, we did have to pay for my visa. I also erroneously wasn't thinking. Jimmy is both an American and a UK citizen. He entered the country on his UK passport, and British citizens don't need a visa to enter the country. So I kind of sunk some unnecessary dollars when I applied for a visa for him, but they rectified it. They didn't refund it, but they rectified it at the border. We had to pay about $1 for both of us to get our health check, which is just them taking our temperature. We answered a few questions about how we were feeling, and we were permitted to enter the country. Now, as part of our prearranged transport, they took us to Ha Tien, which is where we spent our first 2 nights in Vietnam. It is a hopping off point for some people to take the ferry out to Phu Quoc, but it was a good base. We had a very affordable hotel nearby the night market, and the night market was vibrant enough for what it is. There's a lot of development going on there, so I would definitely keep an eye on it in the future. Jimmy had his first ever coffee in his life in Vietnam, which ran through his veins. That stuff is strong. And then we would just find some places to eat from time to time within the town. The next day, after our 2-night stay, we did finally make our way out to Phu Quoc. And Phu Quoc is a very popular tourist destination, a popular place to go for a nice vacation. And that's exactly what we treated it as. So we really treated these 4 nights in Phu Quoc as more of a vacation. And we arrived at Nha Dinh Resort, which I felt was a really good value for the money. We also rented a motorbike while we were on Phu Quoc so that we could easily get around to sites that we wanted to see. A few things that we wanted to do was to first visit Starfish Beach. That is on the north of the island, so we were able to drive up there ourselves and then take the boat that you have to pay for to enjoy just a really lovely afternoon on the island where we walked, we swam, we just took in all the beauty because it was probably the nicest island experience we've had since we've been in Southeast Asia. Beat out Thailand even. We did enjoy some nights out since this was more of a vacation for us, so that might include some drinks at the Irish pub. It included maybe a nicer dinner out as well, so what you're paying for food might seem a bit more, but we didn't mind because we've been pretty budget friendly so far, so we were willing to splurge just a bit more, and by splurge, I mean paying a very fair price. Another very cool thing we did was we took the world's longest gondola ride. So that leaves from Sunset Town and it takes you out to an island. There's a water park there. We weren't really interested in the water park, but we did take a free shuttle down to a part of the beach, Chow Beach, which was, again, very beautiful. Not many people there. We were able to get a beer, we got a burger. one burger. So if you order one meal, you get 2 free beers, which we definitely took advantage of. So again, just enjoyed a nice afternoon there. And then the last thing I really wanted to see while we were there was to go up north near the Vinworld area. We didn't spend a dime. I just wanted to kind of see and experience what the whole Venice setup looked like. They have the bamboo house, so you can really enjoy a beautiful part of Vietnam for not that much money. After some fun in the sun, we took a flight from Phu Quoc to Con Ta, and that is quite the opposite of the vacation experience in Vietnam. We are now in the heart of the Mekong Delta in one of the largest cities in Vietnam. I want to say it might be the 5th largest city, and so this is just giving us a really good feel of what it's like to live day to day in Vietnam in the Mekong Delta. Now, there were a few things that we enjoyed. We just met with a few vendors, walked down there, didn't have anything pre-planned, came across a guy that we had a really good feeling about and enjoyed a sunset tour with him. We enjoyed it so much that we went back out the next day for the sunrise to the Kai Rong market. So that did cost a little bit more because it's much further up the river. I have to say, it was an experience that we did not love. I think I might have actually enjoyed it more if we had just gone during the day. I don't know. It just didn't feel worth it for us, quite frankly. Other than that, we found ourselves at the night market fairly often, just walking around, and then we decided to move on to Binh Tre. So we took a local bus from Can Tha to Binh Tre. Very affordable, easy enough to get along, and there we booked probably the nicest hotel in town, which was still super affordable. This one did not include breakfast, so we were kind of on our own. We did eat out to have our lunch and our dinners in town. Probably one of my favorite things in town to do was just to go and see their local market. And I have seen loads and loads and loads of outdoor markets by this point, but this was by far my favorite one. There are quite a few tours in the Binh Tre area, and so if you're there or if you're nearby, I absolutely recommend. The Mekong Delta is very beautiful, and I especially really liked the Binh Tre area, and I would definitely recommend doing a tour if you find yourself in the area. From Binh Tre, we made ourselves to our first massive city in Vietnam, and that is Ho Chi Minh City. So we stayed there for the last 4 nights of my visa. That's a long story, which again, I go over in this video. I only had 17 nights to stay in the country due to some visa processing issues, but we spent the last 4 nights in Ho Chi Minh, and I have to say I was really pleasantly surprised. I really ended up appreciating it. So we decided to stay in a very affordable hotel right near the walking street. We decided to book into District 1 since we were only there for a few days. It's our very first time in Ho Chi Minh. I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of parks, the green space, and how even in a very big and busy city, you can still get away, enjoy walking amongst. You'll find all sorts of eating options in Ho Chi Minh since it is such a big city. You can find fine dining, you can find menus that cater easily to tourists, but my favorite thing was just for us to be walking down the street and popping into some of the local spots. I did want to get a bit more ingrained in some of the history, and probably the most impactful museum that I've been to was the War Remnants Museum. There's all sorts of artifacts out there in the courtyard, large planes, helicopters, for example, but really impactful, informative exhibits as you go through. Heartbreaking, quite frankly. Now, Vietnam is really well known for their coffee, so we had to have a second go at coffee in Vietnam. We also wanted to do a little bit of shopping, so we went to the famous large market there. I needed a few more lightweight garments, and we also made a pretty big purchase this month. We visited the local DJI store where we got the Action 5 Pro. So that was a new camera to add to our arsenal. What we found is that it was more affordable to purchase in Vietnam than it would have been back home. Alas, our time was running up, and so we had to jump to our last and final destination of the month, That was our third country of our visit, Singapore. Now, Singapore has a reputation for being the most expensive country in Southeast Asia. So when I was planning how much I thought we were going to spend this month, I really thought that was going to set us a lot higher. So my original estimate for how much we were going to spend out of pocket this month was $4,000. So as you can imagine, I was pleasantly surprised when we came in at $3,000. And probably the biggest reason for that, the biggest contributing factor, is that we stayed at a lovely hotel in Singapore, 30 Bencoolen. I hope I'm saying that right. But we were able to book that hotel with credit card points. So my husband, he's very savvy with the points. We've been saving them up for some of the larger cities like Singapore, completely expecting it to be expensive. And so we were able to book that hotel on points. That means $0 coming out of our bank account. Singapore is incredibly beautiful. It was probably the most surprising place we've been to in that it was lovely. It was this whole place that we didn't even have on our radar, but you can walk anywhere. It's very walkable. It's very safe. It's very peaceful, even for a large city-state that is a very popular place to visit. So there's loads of activities that you can do for free in Singapore. There are parks that you can visit. You can walk along the riverside. So it's pretty amazing what you can see and what you can experience for nothing out of pocket. Even the food was surprisingly affordable. If you're looking for an affordable way to try out lots of good food, I would absolutely recommend the hawker centers. So one of the popular ones is in Chinatown. We enjoyed that. We went to visit one in Little India. And then we also just had some right around the corner from where we stayed. I think being near the university really helped as well. So we were able to enjoy delicious food for very cheap average daily costs. So as I mentioned at the top of this video, we spent just over $3,000 to visit those 3 countries for 2 people over the course of the month. And so what does that breakdown look like? We spent the most on accommodation, but I think we did really well this month, coming in at just under $700. And of course, there was that big savings with not having to pay out of pocket for the Singapore accommodation and using the points instead. Next up is our general category, and I think this is important to call out. We spent $623 in what I would consider to be just general spend items. So these are things that are separate from the cost of travel within these countries. That includes things like our monthly health insurance, our storage for back home, our insurance for back home for my vehicle, for example. Our Amazon Prime happened to expire this month, so that includes the price of us renewing our Amazon Prime. Things like that, our phone bill. So I just want to be really transparent that I do also track all of those costs, and I include it in the monthly total because it's something that we have to pay. And I don't want to skew results of what it looks like to actually spend money on long-term travel or a career break on just focusing on the local costs. So that's something for you to keep in mind as well. Our shopping was the highest it's been any month yet, over $600. But again, that's because we bought our new little DJI camera, so that's to be expected, I suppose. Restaurants this month was just over $550. And again, when you're considering that we did not have a kitchen, we weren't cooking, we're eating all of our meals out, then that is more than reasonable. Especially considering, all the places that we went in Cambodia, in Vietnam, and Singapore. Transportation was $247, so that included a lot of the land transfers that we had, the flights to get from the island to Vietnam, as well as from Ho Chi Minh to Singapore. So quite a good deal, I would say. Also the motorbike rentals, so transport's really, really reasonable. A few other things to wrap up our spend this month is activities cost us $164, and I hope you can see in this video that you can do quite a lot without having to spend a lot of money. I do encourage you to do tours to see and experience the local area, but it doesn't have to break the bank. We enjoyed a few nights out with a few beverages, so that rang in at $80, which I think is fair. The most expensive pint we have had this whole entire trip was in Singapore. Jimmy really wanted to have a tiger beer in Singapore, the local beer there. That was $12 for one pint, so we only did one of those each. And then our grocery bill for the month was just over $40. And that mostly includes us popping into the local shops to get waters, to get drinks, to get some snacks and things like that. Also the markets to get the fresh fruit. So that's it for our monthly spend. I hope that you continue to find these helpful as we look at our total spend. Overall, we are starting to creep up. Originally, our goal was to target spending around $50,000 for the whole year. And so as each month goes along, we are definitely getting a little bit closer to that target spend. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. So if we end up going over that number, that's entirely okay. We just wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a challenge, hold ourselves accountable to track our spending for this year, and share it with you all. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below, and I look forward to continue bringing the last few months of our cost breakdown to you moving forward.